happy to see people joining in on a Sunday. This time, usually we have it on a Saturday, but this time we are having it on a Sunday. But yet there are like 200 plus registration. I'm sure a lot of people are going to join shortly. Um, it's a very interesting topic. Like, people, uh, most of us don't like a lot of ceremonies. So that's the interesting topic that Arjun will be taking us through today. So over to you, Manikanta.
Yeah, thanks, Shiva. Thanks for laying the show. Now, I'll just give it one more moment for others to join in. Let's see what we have on the chat window. Come on, guys. There are 28 of you, 28 of us. It is good to know where we all are, right? So, and let's use this and make this interactive. Let's. And Arvind, ready when you are to start the recording. Just
Yeah,
let me
recording
know.
is started. I think we can start. You can give an intro to speaker.
Okay, sure. Before we start the session, a quick note on the today's session before we proceed. Let's use the chat window to network, share, and share your thoughts. Use the Q&A option to post any sort of questions. We'll take all of them during Q&A session, which is parked towards the end of the session. Those provided with a valid PMI member ID with first name and last name according to the PMI profile, one PDU will be automatically credited within 2 weeks of time. We encourage open decision, but please keep your comments relevant, respectful, and on the topic, please. And this session's recording will be posted on our PMIPCC YouTube channel. We want everyone to stay until the very end of the program for a member talk, and a digital selfie will be taken. So please stick till the end, and towards the end we ensure everyone is prepared to turn on your cameras. Yeah. So let's officially start our live webinar. Today's session is not a normal agile session. It is more sort of from a ceremony to a flow, how we reimagine the agile of the distributed, always on workforce. Now that the round the clock delivery is in place, today's session will be more focused on how agile on a distributed and always on workforce is all about. Yeah. So let's look at our keynote speaker for today. Agile, before even we speak about him, let's see where he spent his time, right? Agile is all about co-located teams and focused teams, but today's workforce, like we said, is distributed. Now, it is our eminent pleasure to welcome and introduce Arjun Majumdar, who spent his time in this agile, distributed and asynchronous first teams, where ceremonies are not just played as our old playbooks, right? Our speaker will today elaborate flow efficiency, async collaboration, and what done really looks like across time zones. Arjun is a enablement leader who spent about 15 years of experience in agile transformations at scale. Currently, he is working at Salesforce as an agile coach. He's experienced at combining technical depth, process, people dynamics, and psychology to build self-sustaining coaching ecosystems. His efforts resulted in 500 plus professionals adopting agile at scale. His book, Narda INC, mixes 21st century concepts with methodological wisdom, making learning more interesting and fun. Now, I happily hand it over to Arjun. Arjun, over to you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Mani. It's pleasure that I get this opportunity to talk today. Without further delay, let me just go ahead and get started. So let's start by asking these questions ourselves. So if you have been in a meeting last week, that could have been on email, or if you are in a stand-up where you have learned nothing, if you have stayed late for any ceremony in other time zone, just post that in the chat. Just say type me or I did or hands up or whatever, like react on by raising the of like yes, I get 1 years. Yeah, one hand raised. Thank you. Oh wow, nice. There's a couple of people raising their hands. Thanks a lot. Yes. So so what we are going to discuss today is more about how we can or like what are things that we can consider to avoid couple of them. I'm not saying that everything can be moved out of this so-called late night meetings. I'm not saying that everything can be moved out, but definitely there are some scenarios where we can use them, and we are going to talk about all those things with some case studies. Before we start, can you guess this number? What would be this 67% in relationship to agile processes or methodologies? Generally, workforce in general workforce India. What is 67? What does 67 resonate? Or like, how do you think 67 connects uh with with agile or people or ceremony perspective? Any wild guesses on chat? Anything you can think about when we see this 67 percentages number? This is again a case study number, and this is like this is done by a very good company GitLab. But yeah, any wild guesses? Other option? Okay, thank you. Any other failure rate of projects? Okay. Okay, let me just okay. There is one more. Adherence to agility and process. Okay. Yeah, let me just go and reveal what the 67% means. So this, according to GitLab's 2025 developer satisfaction score, 67% of software engineers report ceremony fatigue. So people feel like ceremonies are kind of, oh, another ceremony. Like they are not happy with those ceremonies. They feel this fatigue of ceremonies continuously happening. Okay, let's do with the next one, which is 23%. What do you guess about 23%? Again, there is relation with processes or people or agile ceremonies as such. Sticking to agile framework, okay. Ceremony efficiency, okay. Yeah, yeah. Excited for ceremonies, okay. Thank you. So let me just reveal this. So according to Atlassian survey, again, this is last year survey, the sprint capacity consumed for ceremonies alone is 23%. So 23% of our time is used for ceremonies only. Understanding on the necessities of ceremony. Okay, yeah. So probably said necessities as in like this is the 23% is spent for ceremony only. Now, final last one is what do you think the 73% is according to the like most from people or process perspective? 73 percentage with respect to agile ceremonies or process. What do you guess about this 73%? And the number is little big or huge, so probably yeah, any wild guesses? Participation, okay. Participation in ceremonies, okay. There's not okay.
Yeah, guys, please
Start
participate
with
so that it is a two-way thing. Arjun is really encouraging people to answer and like engaging. Please participate. Just click the chat and at the top, and then post your answers. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Arjun.
no, no, Shiva. Thank you. Yeah. Any wild guesses? I think that gives us more interactivity so that we are happy, or it is more like not talking to any walls. It will be much more easier like people are listening. So yeah, any wild guesses on 73%? So let me just go ahead and edit. So 73% software teams are span across 3+ time zones. So 73% today, like post COVID, this has become a very challenging thing. 73% of teams and 73% software teams are span across 3 different time zones. So let's look at the whole data as such. So 76% of software engineers report they feel fatigued with ceremonies. 23% of sprint capacity is consumed for ceremonies alone. 40% plus time is spent in meetings, which also sees 23% or 2.3%, sorry, 2.3 x higher attrition. So, and finally, 73% software teams are span across 3 time zones. Now, what does it mean? If you look at all these things, it means that the ceremonies are becoming expensive, exhaustive, and also driving people away from organizations. Okay, so let's look at what Agile promised and what we got for today's world. So Agile promised individual interactions or process and tools. They said we are responding to change over following a plan. They also say like empowering teams to take decisions by themselves, like decentralized decision making, shipping faster, and delighting customers. But today, what we are getting is 15 plus hours of weekly ceremonies. That is true. Scrum Master policing stand-ups, not Scrum Masters as such, but the person who is facilitating is actually policing the stand-ups, and Agile theater instead of agility. So we just have the check marks of ceremonies done rather than driving agility towards faster delivery and customer satisfaction. And the irony here is framework that is designed to free us has become the thing that is slowing down. So let's look at some of the case studies, or like let's audit our ceremonies before we go into that. So in your last sprint, how many ceremonies did your team have? What is the total hour consumption? What is the percentage of sprint capacity that was spent in ceremonies? Which one created genuine value and which one were compliance theater? So just think about all this. I'll give you 1 minute. Just think about all these things. And in the chat, just post one ceremony that you would have eliminated tomorrow if you could. Just one ceremony. If you can add a reason for that, it would be great. Or just giving me the ceremony name in the chat will also work. Just we'll take 1 minute time to think about all these 5 questions and then we'll respond on the chat. Okay. Multiple status meetings, retrospectives after each sprint. Okay. Repeating status meetings. Yeah. 10 more seconds. I'll wait. Status meetings. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Definitely, there are a lot of meetings that are not adding value. Mainly those ceremony meetings. Sorry, not ceremony. Sorry, mainly the status meetings, which is repeat of the same thing again and again. Uh, with that, let's look at some case studies or what different companies or different teams have done differently, so that we can learn from them. The first case study is from GitLab. So it is a 2000 plus fully remote employee team or remote employee organization. And what they did is like they did zero stand-ups. There were weekly meetings, but the first rule is like to avoid unnecessary meeting. First thing what they did is like they did this stand-ups, they stopped the stand-ups and made them asynchronous team updates via threaded channels. I'll show you some examples of that as well. Going like in the future slides, we also have it as a small takeaway. Then written context preserved forever. So anything like, for example, if someone had a problem with something, they had documented a solution after that, so that whenever there someone comes in and faces same kind of challenges, all these things are documented. Now again, a lot of people initially had a notion of not documenting things, but Agile never said no documentation. It just said comprehensive documentation. So what it means is like documenting what is required. Probably these cases which are being challenged by some person will be challenged by someone else as well. So for that purpose, the challenges are being documented and solution is also being documented so that people doesn't repeat. Do not repeat yourself. The second case study is of automatic. So again, this is a company that has got goes presence in more than 96 countries with 1800 people across the globe. What they did is like they removed or abandoned synchronous retrospectives. They made it asynchronous format, and they had a common reflection time, structured reflection time, sorry, which is around 15 to 15 minutes, 30 minutes to discuss only on dot voted items of the things that didn't go well in the previous sprint. Okay, so what they did is like they distributed again, they used Teams or they used Slack for documenting asynchronously the retrospective items, then dot voting on the same things, or they can use the board as well. Like we use in Salesforce, we use something known as Gus, which has got a retrospective board and people can directly vote on them. After all the voting is done, there is 20 minutes of sync time or like reflection time where people come and try to focus because it's already dot voted and everything. The time it takes is 15-20 minutes. Take one or two action items for the next sprint and move forward. Okay. What it did is what this made is like 89% of participate, 89% of people participated in this retrospectives rather than the 60 to 70% of industry average. Now, participation is not just from people attending it, it is also from the perspective of people engaging into that particular retrospective or the ceremony. And third case study here is about Todoist, which are the makers of Doist, which is a company which produces the Todoist app and all those things. Their team is not too huge, but it's a complete remote team. People spanned in multiple locations, different, like all the time zones are covered by the people. Like it has just 40 people, but the people are across the globe. Now, what they did is like they made this async first as default. So everything is being async only. People meet, but it's like once in a week they meet, they talk, and they kind of do things. And the result that happened is like 30% more documentation, and which has made it better knowledge transfer, knowing people better, and all those. So these what it clearly shows is like for delivering faster, for delivering high quality product, for delivering continuously, you doesn't need to do the ceremonies as it is prescribed in Agile, which was Agile books or like the Scrum guide as such. You don't need to do textbook Agile. You can make Agile work for you. That is how the intention was. But unfortunately, the compliance thing that was built across these things made it more superlative towards ceremonies rather than the actual value delivery. Okay. With that, let me move forward. So let's do a small return on investment test. So think about every ceremony that you are going through. Is the value delivery or value created more than time consumed? Does this have to be does this have to be synchronous only? Can it be asynchronous? Does everyone need to attend? What should what would break if we skip for this once? So think about these questions, and on the chat you can put it as like whether like just think about one ceremony, maybe stand up, think about your team composition, think about whether it can be done asynchronously at least once a week, and answer all these questions. Like in the chat, just comment saying that yes, thing can be done or no. Did you understand the ask, or do you want me to repeat? So take one ceremony like stand up. Think about if one day, if you can do this particular thing asynchronously, will you be able to add all these things? If you think yes, you can do asynchronously without compromising any of this, then put yes. If you think no, you cannot do it, then put in. Yes, yes, I see a couple of yes responses here. Great. I'll give another 5 seconds for people to think about, yeah. Okay. A couple of more yes. Thank you. Let me move forward. So one of the thing that again, I'm taking this as an example from my organization and the organizations that were kind of doing it differently. So in our organization, there are teams which are globally distributed. What they do is like they use Slack as their their asynchronous stand-up guide. So what happens is like this is a small like a Slack bot or an AI tool that posts the question on each person, each member in the team will get this question. Like, what did you do today? What did you complete yesterday? What are you planning today? And what are the things that is not happening, or like what are the impediments that they have? So people respond to it, and this is a summary of what exactly it will be shown in the team page, so that everyone knows what other people is doing. And it is not that people should not be knowing things. It is about making sure that people have an idea if someone else is looking for help. Okay. And again, this can be asynchronously answered, or like you doesn't need to update at the same time. So it has got 24 hours response window. So once you update the one of the and one of once you update the response to this particular check-in, it automatically updates that particular person's response into this update status. Okay, so what this makes is like introverts responding more to problems. So a lot of people in the stand-up, that what we are seeing is like a lot of people in stand-up doesn't really say that I can help you. But with this one, we are seeing a lot of people, introverts basically, going and helping other team members and making things move faster. Okay, if you're using Slack, you have all these add-ons. Like Alice is one of the tool or Slack bot that is available publicly. Everyone using Slack can use this particular thing. Okay. So the old way is 15 minutes stand up for 5 people into 15 minutes for 5 days and all those things. And a lot of times, people in APAC or in one location, generally the rule is like wherever there are less number of people, they join late in the evening, so that other people who are in the like most of the people who are there in their work time zone will be able to dedicate their time. So that is the whole intention of old way of stand up. But this at least there are a lot of teams that are doing it Monday and Friday async, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday they go with synchronous stand up. uh, Second one, this was actually very common for a lot of organizations where this is found as a best practice and this used to happen. But for those who are not doing it, this is another, like before the sprint planning meeting, the product owner will share a draft of backlog. So for team to review asynchronously, team will add estimates, ask any questions, also concerns about if the story is too big or like the invest criteria, if it is not met, that those all things will be documented. And the clarifications also happens in comments by the product owner. And when the overlap time is there, like probably 2 hours in all, they try to resolve all the conflicts that are there in the comments or clarifications perspective. They make the final commitments and record the session for people who doesn't attend. uh, with this, what is happening is like people were able to cut the meeting time by 50%, and also the backlog was well prepared for discussions before the meeting starts. In a survey by Atlassian, approximately 46% of teams said that their backlog is not ready before the sprint planning meeting starts. So the backlog is being groomed in the sprint planning meeting only, which means that there is a huge scope of improvement, and this could actually help. And 40% is huge. So with that, let's think about retrospectives. So we spoke about stand-up, we spoke about planning. We are coming to retrospectives. So this again is a Slack way of doing things. What it does is like it shares a simple retrospective canvas so that people can go ahead and document whatever they feel like on key discussion points, what went well, what didn't go well, and all those things. And this is an outcome format. So once this particular questions are answered, there will be an async thing, probably 30 minutes to 1 hour is what maximum time is. So they discuss about the key points that they need to plan, what are they going to do in the future, and the action that they took. Again, this is created based on the dot voting that happens before asynchronously. Okay. With this, what happens is like everyone gets time to really think about, and one more thing that a lot of teams try to do was like to document this when something didn't go well. So they did it immediately. So this is open for the whole sprint. Again, that is one more way of doing it. It is open. This particular thing is open for the whole sprint. People, when something didn't go well, they immediately go and document it so that they doesn't need to remember it until the end of the sprint. Uh, Another thing that a lot of people are after Agile, a lot of people feel missing is a focus time. So the recommendation here is to make 2 4 hours uninterrupted time blocks so that people know that they are doing a focused work and they doesn't disturb. And a lot of people put that in their calendar itself. We have this particular thing as focus time, which helps them in people not disturbing it and all those stuff. Slack messages come, but people don't expect them to respond immediately. If you need something to be responded immediately, they kind of call or make a Slack huddle if something is kind of breaking and needs immediate attention. Okay. And it is not for general, like no calls for general, like a quick question or kind of thing. It is definitely something if something is breaking. And you have this particular blockers so that you know when to interact with the teams as well. So you have that particular breaks, 2 hours dedicated time for response and all those things. Not everything is urgent. If something is urgent, they can walk in to this desk and get this thing done, or they can make a huddle on Slack or Google and get the things done, or Teams call and get things done. Okay, the main reason for that is research shows that it needs 23 minutes of time to regain focus after every interruption. So to protect the flow, this was kind of a very essential thing, and it actually had proven or given proven results for people to complete the work in time rather than avoiding or getting distracted by continuous calls or continuous pings. Uh, Again, the fifth solution is overlapping hours. Basically, it might not work for everyone, but the recommendation is to have at least 2 to 3 hours of overlap hours every week. A lot of people wanted it 2 hours every day. So depending upon your setup, think about what would be the sync hours rather than having 9 to 5 across all the time zones, or people having it like being available 9 to 5 is not an exception anymore. So have that 2 to 3 hours of sync time, maybe alternate day, every day, or once a week, depending upon your team composition and your team needs. Think about what is that overlap time, and this time is generally used for critical decision making, real-time discussions that are required, conflict resolution, also like sprint plannings or retrospectives and all those stuff. And everything else is asynchronous by default. The last solution here, which is kind of recommended for most of the teams, is to make sure that you are following an agile light, or you have so like there are two parts of it. Like I think we have everyone have heard about being agile and doing agile. So the doing agile part is following the book, whereas being agile is making sure that you are adopting or implementing that is working for you and your team, and not going with that notion of everything should happen. So like look at like rather than having uh, full ceremonies, make sure that you do the agile light, or like trust the team to adopt whatever is working, and think about output pathways, outcome accountability only, not that people should be attending everything, should be making sure that they are there in every meeting, dedicated and all those stuff, because it's hard. So if your team is consistently delivering high quality work and collaborating well, then do you really need all these mandatory daily stand-ups or all those things that are in the book as mandatory, marked as mandatory? Think about all those things. Now think, measure what matters. So the old metrics was about whether people have attended stand-up, whether story point versus committed versus completed was achieved or not, whether the number of ceremonies held was done, like are the people attending, planning and all those things, rather than think about cycle time, from what is the time it took from idea to production. Think about deployment frequencies, think about NPS or customer satisfaction score, developer satisfaction and retention, and also think about time zone equality. Are all time zones contributing equally, or are we giving the opportunity for all the time zones to contribute equally? Now, this is one thing that this is an example of one of the way that we do it, Salesforce do it. Like if any meeting that happens late hours, like in India late hours or EMEA late hours, people doesn't need to attend that. And if people are required, it will be scheduled only in this sync time, like 2 to 3 hours that is available for synchronization time. That is where the meeting happens. If if it is beyond that, then you doesn't need to attend the meeting, and we get a format or we get a summary as this one. So meeting summary, there is a meeting employee agent that gets into the meetings, or like you just need to transcribe it, or add this email ID called Einstein meeting summaries at salesforce.com, and it automatically records everything, documents everything, and gives you this who have attended, what were the topics of discussion, what are the decision made, detailed notes of the whole meeting. And also there is one more section which I was unable to capture, action items for you. So what are the action items for me in person? It will give me a summary of all these things, so that anything that happens, like if I'm unable to attend in different time zone, then this will be very helpful note for me. And there is a lot of automation. I'm not talking anything about AI in today's context or today's meeting, but there are a lot of additional things that AI agents or the agents can do. There is also an agent that is visible here. This AI agents actually add all those action items to my to-do list or to the backlog, depending upon what kind of item it is. And there is a canvas that has been created, and there is a small to do app that is already part of Slack. I get all those things added there as part of, like, with the AI. These all things are also possible and being done. So the missing of meeting is no more a challenge unless and until it is mandatory for you to join and you are a decision maker in it. Okay, so let's do a small quick thing. Let's take 3 minutes time. Think about one ceremony that you could convert asynchronous this month. Like think about one meeting that can be shortened or eliminated completely, and also one marker time block that can protect your team, that you will protect for your team. Okay, in the chat box, try to comment all these things for us to really understand, and you can also find your accountability partner from any of the participants. Okay. Um, okay, so let's take 3 minutes time. Think about these three questions. One ceremony that you can make asynchronous this month. One meeting that can be shortened or eliminated completely. Also, like put this in the chat, and also use any of the participants as your accountability partner. I'll give 3 minutes time.
That's where the responses are loading up.
Yeah,
Majority is daily stand-up that wins out, right?
stand-ups and retrospectives seems to be not adding value. So
True, true, true.
I'll wait for one more minute because we have 50 plus participants. So I'm just thinking I'll give one more minute before I move on.
Someone calls out sync between leads between India and the US daily handover calls. A focused 2 to 6 p.m. of focused work. Sprint planning of at least 50% want to convert async. Daily Scrum want to shorten prioritization. Tech discussions between team members can be done in async. Daily retros doesn't add value.
Yeah, very true. I
Yeah,
mean, like a lot of people, yeah, I think, yeah, every meeting should be adding value. So retros definitely will add value. It is not that it is not adding value. The thing is, like, if it is not adding value, probably we should think about how we can make them add value for sure. Okay. So yeah, with that, let me move forward so that we have enough time for Q&A. Yeah. So the real question here is like, it is not about can we do agile async or how do we run better ceremonies. It is about which ceremonies deserve to exist. Does everyone need to be there? Is this synchronously, is this synchronously by necessity or by habit? Default to async, synchronize intentionally. So we are not saying like not to do any of the ceremonies, but think about whether it is adding value. If it is not, then think about having it or not. Whether everyone is needed for every meeting. Also, can some things can it be done asynchronously? And think about doing it asynchronously by default and synchronously by intention. What success looks like from now? Within 6 months from now, your team spends less than 15% in sprint planning for on sprint capacity on ceremonies, has zero time zone inequality complaints, ships faster because dev has protected their deep work time, retains top talent who value outcome over activity, produces better documentation. Async is always written, is always searchable, because like whether you're using Teams or Slack or any of those tools, those have this this chance of saving all this ability of saving all this conversations from the past. So that is very useful. New members can be onboarded faster because everything is documented. This is not a dream because it has been done at GitLab, Automatic, Todoist, and all other companies as well. So it is no more a dream. You can do it, and think about how you can implement it to your workplace. Yeah, all these templates are available, so you can scan this and you can download all these templates. A PDF format, a Google Drive link is been shared here. This can help you in giving you the format for all these things. These are default only, but there are some places where you can like ceremony ROI calculator and all those things are kind of some of checklists and all those things are helpful. With that, my final thought for this presentation is like Agile was never about ceremonies. It was about delivering value. If your ceremonies aren't serving that goal, they are just expensive distractions for your team. Question everything, eliminate ruthlessly, and protect relentlessly. Thank you. With that, I'll take the Q&A part.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Arjun, for
Yeah.
laying the foundation of such a beautiful representation of why Agile has been Agile as a framework has been laid out in the first place, and what really it adds value when you question ruthlessly and eliminate, that precisely, right? Since Agile is more about team, it's rather than waiting behind someone to navigate us, it's us bringing that value to the table so that together we go as a team and then bring that success. Very well articulated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arjun. So
Thank you.
that being said, we have one questionnaire where we say, in one of my previous organizations, we used to have stand-up meetings, which are called Scrum, which usually should be ideally finish in 15 to 20 minutes, like you clearly call out. But our top manager used to stretch it to 1.5 hours. How do we manage such situations? Posted by.
Yeah, Pallavi, I think. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question. So, first thing is like managers should kind of give this as their like managers should go away. First thing is like managers should be making sure that they these behaviors are being given by this by or like exhibited by those people first. If the managers are becoming a problem, the only thing is like sending them to a training or engaging an agile coach to talk to them, not synchronously but asynchronously. You can ask your agile coach or anyone who is driving these things to coach this the manager, saying that okay, if you have any questions you can talk later, but this stand up is mainly for focusing on exact three questions, or the format might whatever format maybe, it is mainly for making sure that people are moving forward. So the thing is like uh, the manager need to be coached in right direction. So a lot of times scrum master's responsibility is that. So scrum master should talk to manager and make sure that this kind of situations get reduced, not in immediately, but over a period of time it should be reduced. So immediately it cannot change, but definitely. And nowadays I see this very less. I don't know if it is still happening, but managers are being silent in the stand-ups is what I'm seeing. may not be in all conditions, but Scrum Master's responsibility is to make sure that these kind of distractions are being taken away. Now, if they're not empowered, then that is a pathetic situation. Someone should recommend the manager to understand what Agile is. But Scrum Master's responsibility is that for sure.
Right. I hope that answers your question, Pallavi. And then let me.
The chat also, I see a couple of questions. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have another who says, doesn't so much documentation drown the members over a long period of time? Does it not impact team bonding overall?
Uh, See, again, as I told you, like it is not documenting everything. It is comprehensive documentation. What I mean by that is document only that you think is going to be useful. And today, I think there are many tools that you just write two statements and it automatically creates the whole document. Like there are a lot of AI tools that came into picture, which makes it easy for documenting or getting all these things done.
Right, right.
Like in our company, we use Einstein, which is kind of our default AI tool. So what we do is like we document it in like this is the problem, this is the solution that we did, and it creates a beautiful documentation for a paragraph or so. So you doesn't need to do everything by your own. There are a lot of things that happens. Like as I told you, like our meeting summary agent or like these kind of things actually beautifully like for the in the meeting, whatever happens, it is being beautifully documented within one paragraph by these agents. So there are a lot of other tools that can help in documenting rather than people sitting and writing it everything. Hopefully it answers your question. And team bonding, I think when you're talking about agile teams, they are built on trust. So it should not impact is what I personally feel. If that is happening, then we need to think about other ways of getting this done. But the documentation perspective is to make sure people don't forget, because we keep on getting the same kind of challenges again and again, and that can be avoided with the help of documentation.
Agreed. Absolutely. I mean, from what we need to what we want. The wants are always there, but what is needed is beautifully articulated. And like you said,
Yeah.
team bonding, yes, agreed. Uh,
Yeah, I think
we have,
people can unmute themselves to ask questions also. We have
Yeah.
enabled unmuting. I think. Yeah, but keep the question short so that more people can answer the questions, can get their questions answered. Yeah.
we have,
Anything already in the chat, Money? I saw one question sometime back.
we have Sunil Verma. I'm just trying to navigate that.
I see one more question. How do we how do we adopt AI into agile ceremonies? So there are a lot of ways. First thing is like every year, like Jira or these tools are coming with their own AI agents or their own agentic knowledge base. Uh, like we use a system called GUS, which is Grand Unified System, which is a Jira kind of system for Salesforce. We have an agent within that. If you give it a whole initiative, it turns them into epics. Okay, so from epics you can write user stories. You can look at how it is creating, and beautiful thing is like for every user that you create or it creates, it has got this acceptance criteria defined clearly. So with that, the documentation part is becoming much simpler. That is from the perspective of task perspective. And for the ceremonies, definitely there are a lot of ways of getting it again. The first thing is like in your stand-up itself, if someone had raised question or anything, this like async planning that happens as part of first thing, this AI tools can actually look at the questions that have got too many or the area or the story or the epic that has got too many questions, and it can flag it, or it can automatically create additional justification and all those things where your project owner can validate it or update it based on that. Okay, so again, in stand-ups or retrospectives, this AI can actually add. You can add, like, we in retrospectives we add this something known as Einstein meeting agent, and this Einstein meeting agent will document everything, the action items, everything will be documented, and those are added directly. If it is a team level action item, this will be added directly to the next sprint or to the backlog basically. If it is a individual item, it goes and get added to the to-do list that is there as part of the Slack's to-do bot or Slack application. So this way, like, you can add, you can use AI tools in Agile ceremonies for sure, and get these things faster. Or scribing is very advantageous. Like, you can in the meeting, if in the planning meeting or in your backlog refinement meeting, if you add this scribe, which can create all those what you have discussed and add to comments on the user stories, that is a very good tool to have for sure. Yes, Swati. Yeah, I think I totally agree. There should be some trainings to management for sure. Because, like, Agile, definitely, if you think Agile is more of common sense, and because today common sense has become so like not so common, trainings are definitely essential, or at least some kind of um, discussions for the managers are required. Coaching. Yeah, they are still agile. So see, as we discussed initially, agile doesn't mean that you have to follow everything. Scrum has got all these things, but agile never had anything described. To be honest, like, they had four values and 12 principles in all. So if you follow them, you are delivering. One of them is like delivering faster, responding to change, whatever it is. Like, all those four values and 12 principles are what agile is. It doesn't mean that you have to have all the ceremonies. Ceremonies are part of your framework. So framework is different from agile for sure. Any other questions that I missed, Mani?
Uh,
Or if something is missed,
just
can you please type it
back
again?
to-
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
yeah, of course. And guys, feel free to unmute yourself and
Ask it.
or raise your hands. I can go one after other. Sunil Verma Srivastava, do you have a question? We see your hand raised. Okay, okay. So
With that, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Mani, go ahead.
yeah, of course. So maybe since we have talked more about agile ceremonies, maybe to a wider audience who would take away from this content in the future time to come through, how can someone who's at three different levels of their professional level, maybe at entry to mid level and mid senior level and a senior leadership level, can see a transformation into agile while they have not seen anything like it, right? Maybe mid senior professions might have already spent some time already in handling projects, but in a different framework altogether. But they themselves getting into how long that can, how lubricative that is from a transitioning perspective for such professionals. Maybe if that I can elaborate if that.
Yeah, I would say, like, it's all about mindset shift. So first thing is like their acceptance to the new world. We do something known as workforce intelligence, one session that we do, which talks about the thought process difference between the Zen X, Zen Y, Zen Z, and Zen Alpha that is coming. Right?
Correct.
So if you look at the new age workforce, which is just joining this year, like 2025 was the year where the new generation came into workforce. And we are already seeing a lot of challenges with that. Okay. They don't want managers.
Right.
They're very clear that they don't want managers.
Right. Right.
Okay. But so we make them understand that managers are essential, and there are areas where managers also need to understand that they should not micromanage. So these two, balancing these two people is very essential. Again, from the agile perspective, everyone, like, people should understand what agile is rather than just going with the framework. So a lot of people feel like if they attended like a Scrum training, they know Agile. It is just part of Agile. Scrum is not Agile as such.
Right.
Scrum is the way to get started with Agile, but it is not Agile. Like it's not being Agile completely. So people should understand this difference and then say, okay, if I'm empowering my team to take decisions in right way, okay, there are kind of decisions which should be centralized, but the decisions where decentralized things can happen, if a manager is giving the team that ability or enablement or empowering them to take those decisions, team will definitely want those people as managers for sure. The biggest mismatch here is like managers expectations are different and team expectations are different. So trying to talk to people on understanding what they want is the first step for becoming successful in this age.
Absolutely. Right. Very
Yeah,
well.
there is
Right.
there is a time, there will be a transition period for sure, but talking, understanding expectations each other can shorten this. So in coaching we call this as J curve. So there is a dip that happens initially, and if the dip continues as it is, then the people are losing that outcome or the output that we are talking about. So as a coach, the coach responsibility is to minimize this dip. So the dip will happen for sure, but the people should rise from there immediately. They should reach to higher level than they were. That is where the whole intention of this particular agile and all those things is.
Correct. Correct. Uncertainty is inevitable, but still, how we rebounds back from it
Yes.
is
How
is
fast
is
we can, yeah.
correct. Correct.
Exactly.
And
How
how
fast we
fast
can
and
improve.
relevant. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arjun.
An
And that
excellent
being said,
thing. Yeah. Just before we jump in, I think this session is excellent. Like as I initially was thinking, like the topic itself is right. So many people who are in the agile teams have the same thought. Hey, I'm tired of ceremonies, but they hardly speak up, right? And the Scrum managers or the project managers, they themselves may not even realize that uh, what they are, what their teams are going through. Like, this you have just put the spotlight on the project managers, the Scrum masters, and the team as a whole, who are responsible for their own. I'll not say uh, inefficiencies, but then subconscious inefficiencies, right? You have put that
Yeah.
spotlight on that. And you have also given a couple of things like takeaways you have told, and also about like the introspection, and given a list of questions. Probably like you can go to that slide once and then say like what you will implement. So can you allow share to the speaker Arjun?
Yeah.
That slide, if you have it right, can go through.
Yeah.
So that
This one, sure. Talking about this one.
yeah. So I think this is really, folks, it's not just for the training session. I guess like what Arjun saying here is we'll have to take it back, learning from here to implement in all our professional world. So probably after a month or so, you can come back. If you are attending some other session, please feel free to share that. Like this, at least a couple of you can share these takeaways were really useful, and it's making some change. I know it will take some time to make the change, right?
But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, for I think I have 1 more minute. But yeah, for sure, like one thing I would say is like start for one ceremony, 1 day async, and then see the value. Automatically, team will definitely start automatically. They will start engaging more asynchronously and getting value out of, and they start encouraging to get into this stage for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. Over to you, Mani. I think you can share.
yeah.
Still,
Thanks. Yeah. In the interest of time, we will answer the remaining questions offline. Thank you for all your questions. And thank you, Arjun, for generously sharing your experience and wisdom, and more importantly, your time in sharing those experiences. Yeah. As a token of an appreciation, the PMIPCC Hyderabad chapter has honored you with a thickest of 5 trees which are planted in your name for leopards at Nainital district, Uttarakhand, India. Thank you for growing knowledge and sustainability with us.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this opportunity for sure. I mean, it's amazing that I was able to engage with everyone. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That being said,